Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to our METS Arena at IMARC 2020 online. And today is the opportunities for METS and autonomy and automation in the Russian area. A big thank you to the Victorian government and Mining Plus for your sponsorship of the online sessions, especially the METS Arena, and thank you over the last few months that we've had as well. Also, a thank you for Olga Sudnitsin from the Australia-Russia Dialog, who's pulled a lot of this together. Initially, we're going to have a 10-minute discussion led by Kassem Younes from the Victorian government, and then we'll be going into some information or a issue or problems Dmitry Gavrilin from Tigers Run Cold will be coming up with, and then some presentation to help with that information. So, thank you, Kassem.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. The Victorian Government Trade and Investment Office to the Middle East and Africa, as well as we cover Turkey, Russia, and CIS countries, has been facilitating business, trade, investment, as well as education between Victoria and this region. We have been supporting IMARC actually since the beginning of this global event, and I think this is the 6 years where we've been supporting this event. And as well, I guess this is an event where connect all the leaders and experts in the mining industry. And a big example today is I think we are broadcasting this session across 3 continents. Talking about the region that we cover, actually every country is a mining-related economy, and especially Russia is on the top of the list of those countries. Russia imports around $3 billion of METS equipment technology services for the mining industry, where automation plays 30% or account 30% of this total import. The Russian and international mining companies that are currently operating in Russia are growing efforts to roll out automation and digitalization to improve safety, efficiency standards, and optimizing operations. Now, before we start our discussion with our panelists today, I would like to thank you, Paul, Shireen, Anita, and the rest of the team of IMARC and all the participants for making the time to engage today, and also wish you all the best this week and connecting. And I've done a couple of meetings early morning today. It was really successful and clear message and clear videos. So, and also, thanks for your time today, Dmitry, for speaking on your mining projects in Russia as well. Olga, maybe you can please, you're representing the Australia-Russia Dialogue organization. Can you please give, like in 1 or 2 minutes, a brief about your organization and how the what do you provide as support to as an organization to those willing to explore the Russian mining industry and in general the Russian market?
Thank you so much, Kassem. So first of all, very pleased to be part of this session. As we know, Russia is one of the world's most important emerging markets. Something between 15 to 17% of a global mineral resources reserves allocated simply because of the large territories and diversity of it. So clearly it's a lucrative market. And I'd like to tell you a story how back in 2012, 2 foreign affairs ministers, Mr. Lavrov and Mr. Kevin Rudd at a time, had a conversation. How can they assist cross-pollination and cooperation between Russian business and Australian business? So they were the people who've actually thought of that unique idea of having the dialogue, establishing Australia-Russia Dialogue as an organization which is apolitical and really is a mechanism to promote and facilitate bilateral relationship in trade, economics, and investment. So therefore, founding members sort of got together. One of them was Dragonman, and the person who's representing Tigers Realm Coal was one of the founding companies, Deakin University, which was really good, and PricewaterhouseCoopers. So those founding members got together and wrote a constitution and proclaimed that what they would like is to assist cross-integration and aid cross-country opportunities. Australia-Russia Dialogue was born. And from there on, Orica being one of the major Australian companies have joined in and in fact took a very active role, not only as a corporate member, but in fact many years worth of presidentship, who was Eden Parkey at a time. So I would like also to say that it's a premium business organization and it's dedicated in promoting multifaceted engagement. Both Australian ambassador in Russia and Russian ambassador in Australia are the patrons of the IRD. So they support us, they fully endorse our activities and they help us. We also engage with Austrade, local state government, trade missions, and particularly our friends at Global Victoria, which is evident today, and various Russian ministries as well. So we've got a vast network of friends across there. So our services span from business, various industries and domains, petroleum and energy market, mining, minerals and metals, education, and even agriculture. So it's important that in the absence of Russian trade mission in Australia, ARD is an important platform and mechanism for connecting and channel for communication, discussion, and addressing various problems. So use us wisely and use us willingly because we're able to open doors and really connect many Australian companies to many Russian companies and many opportunities and the other way. And on the last point, I'd like to let you know that there's another emerging opportunity for dialogue, especially across renewable energy sector development. As Australia, similar to Australia, Russia until recently was not overly concerned about the energy mix. However, with oil prices being as low as they are now, Russian petroleum companies in particular and mining are rethinking their strategies. And renewables are becoming a new norm, as well as clearly mining and green mining and safe delivery of across the whole value chain.
Thank you, Olga. And no doubt there's a lot of opportunities for our METS companies to do business in Russia, and many of them, they're already doing business there. Chris, are you able to connect now?
Yes, I hope it's now working. So concerning Russia, I'm pleased to participate today. The Russian mining economy or mining in general is very important for the Russian industry. It counts for about 11% of the global Russian industry value, which is just bypassed by the oil and gas industry, which counts for about 30% of the national GDP. So this means that the mining industry itself has a very high importance, and Russia is not only the largest diamond producer in the world, but also has a global share of about 30% of the gold production of the world production. So Russia has also an abundance of the natural resources to be mined. Basically, they are spread over the huge country. I think it's the only country where you can have a 10-hour flight coming from one border to the other. And this is also one of the largest challenges for Australian and international companies coming to here, as you can consider that the mines are usually quite far away, having climate conditions of plus minus 40 degrees, which makes them much more difficult to operate. Iron ore and coal, like iron ore with about 96 million tons per year, and coal with about 390 million tons per year are the largest essential production areas, which is also very important for the global or for the local industry, considering that for construction it's necessary, as well as for the export to China, which is also very important here. So maybe just like a very short introduction to the overview about the industry here.
Thank you, Chris. Paul, do we have still one or 2 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead for another minute. Yep.
Oh, thank you. Chris, a question for you, please. What should be considered when exporting to Russia, and especially if we're talking about mining equipment technology services, and how Schneider Group can assist?
Well, what have to be considered that in case you want to export any equipment to Russia, you have local requirements for certification. Means that the equipment has to receive a local certification, and in case your agreement with your customer considers that you have to be responsible for this, you need a Russian counterparty for the import. Also some special services needs licenses from Russia. So these are basically the obstacles what company usually faces when starting operations here. To start here, there are, well, what is important for Russia, that Russia is investing a lot in new efficiency increasing equipment and services. So these are more the areas of potential for international METS companies, as Russia has an open market. We have a slight decreasing number of accidents and incidents. So also safety equipment should be a good market here. From our side, we work with about 500 international companies for the back office support, and can also share the best practice of working with them. Means from all areas in the back office support, from any accountancy, tax, legal, regulatory issue, that Australian companies can find a good market and a potential here.
Okay. The last few months, with the pandemic challenges, have you seen an increase or acceleration in automation, digitalization inquiry?
Yes, we had, it was starting, on the one hand, everything, it was starting also with the travel restrictions, means that a lot of projects were stopped or delayed because simply technical specialists could not enter the country. This was kind of a trigger for a lot of companies. Find, on the other hand, a local partner who can make some remote servicing, train the people here, make some more, invest in automation, not to have physical people in the mines, but these are mostly long-term projects. So this is something what we can benefit in the next years, I believe.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Olga. Over to you, Paul, please.
Great, thanks, Kassem. And I've got a great delight to introduce Dmitry Gavrilin, the CEO of Tigers Realm Coal. Dmitry is going to present an opportunity or a problem statement around, and well, the statement is, as we pursue the goal of autonomous mining, what are the key considerations of the three pillars of people, systems, technology to successfully achieve this? Furthermore, what role does the technology and innovation have to deliver the value across the entire mining value chain from pit through to port? Thanks, Dmitry.
Thank you, Paul. Hello to everyone, and it's a pleasure for me to be part of this session. Thank you very much for invitation, and I'm pleased to present to you the company, and I think it presents our project presents a very good case study for automation in the mining industry in Russia, and in our specific location, which is the far eastern part of the country. Let me move to the next slide, please. Tigers Realm Coal is an ASX listed company. We've been at the Australian Stock Exchange for almost 10 years now, and the project that the company is developing is located in Chukotka, far eastern part of Russia. We are, as you can see on the map, we're pretty close to Alaska actually, and also we are in a proximity to Asian markets, which are priority markets for our products. We have two large deposits in the proximity of the seashore, just 37 kilometers away from the port, which is also operated by us. The company has started to operate mining operations in 2017 after quite an extensive period of geological exploration. It's a greenfield project which became successful over the last 5 to 6 years through the support of our shareholders, the Russian government, and of course our dedicated team. Let me move to the next page. Apart from the mining operations, due to our location, we are also in the business of developing infrastructure. We have built our own haulage road, which allows us to transport the product from open mine to the port. And we have invested in the port infrastructure, which is a transshipment operation port operating 6 months during the year. The other 6 months being the port is closed due to ice conditions. And so the company basically controls all the elements of the value chain starting from the pit, haulage operations, and the transshipment operations in the port. The next slide would just zoom in our project layout. So 37 kilometers of the technological road, our open pit mine, and the infrastructure around it, including the camp, and a port and barges operated by Tigers just about 40 kilometers away from the mining operations. On the next slide, I just summarized our performance over the last 4 years. So basically, the company transitioned from an exploration operator, from development and startup phase into production. And we were able to ramp up quite quickly, just within 3 years, threefold growth in our mining volumes from 250 to 750 tons on annual basis, and the same is for our sales volumes. So I think the next big challenge, after we've been able to build the company, build the team, build the systems, the next challenge is, of course, the wash plant, the coal handling and preparation plant, which is in our plans for next year, and for the scaling up of our volumes. And those two things, introducing of the coal handling and preparation plant and scaling up, will definitely require us to introduce more automation and digitalization in our operations in every single element of our value chain. Just to summarize our project progress, the next slide demonstrates where we are right now, which is we completed the first stage, 750,000 ton of the product per annum. So the next big challenge is introducing the wash plant, which is the contract for delivery is already signed and delivery is planned for next summer. Introducing the wash plant would bring the company into the premium semi-hard coking coal space, which would allow us to maximize our margins and also extract the full value out of the deposits that we are developing. And the third stage would include further scaling up by including Amam, our second large deposit that is in proximity of Amam North, and getting up to the volumes up to at least 3 million ton per annum production. Just a couple of words, a couple of thoughts about the wash plant. The next slide summarizes what we are planning to achieve. It's a modular wash plant concept that we have approached. The example of such plant you can see on the page. The challenging part of the construction is the remote conditions and also a limited shipping season. However, introducing the washing capacity to our operations would definitely make the company become a full-scaled and full cycle coking coal producer with the premium product, and would allow us to continue to scale up. But of course, the plant would need, in terms of automation, would need not only its own automation systems that are being delivered by the supplier, but it will need to be integrated in the full value chain that already exists, including the haulage operations, port operations, and of course mining operations in the first place. So let me summarize the challenges of the next stage for us. Again, within just 4 years, we've been able to build up the systems, the infrastructure, the team required to successfully address all the challenges of the remote location, of of the weather conditions, and of the greenfield sort of new type of the project. So the company demonstrated the ability to operate successfully in that region, and also to sell the high quality product to our customers. But in order for us to actually continue this successful story, we would definitely need automation as an element of not only improving the efficiency and actually integrating all the pieces of the value chain in one process, but also in order to optimize our costs, keeping them at the minimum. And that's particularly important in the environment where coal prices have dropped for the last couple of years. We are expecting some recovery of the price levels, but we want to be efficient and competitive as much as we can. And not only the wash plant, but also haulage operations, port and shipping operations require very efficient automated fleet management and digitalization in terms of efficiency at every single day, because also the port has its limits in terms of the weather working days. So it becomes especially important to be able to move your equipment as efficient as you can possibly do, using the every single day of weather working conditions. So I hope it gives you an interesting story that we believe is a good case study for automation. Of course, we are relatively a small producer in terms of the volumes compared to some big companies that have already started the automation and digitalization processes and procurements in Russia, and those large companies are already there and creating the systems and investing in that a lot. We have started, and we have a long way to go in that sense, but we are very much looking forward to discussions and looking at the products that you are working on, and would welcome any opportunity to cooperate. Thank you.
Great, thanks Dmitry, appreciate that. I'd like to introduce Marco Alencar from Mining Plus. Marco, if you've got some comments or questions for Dmitry before we go into the presentation.
Thanks, Paul. Hi everyone, and hi Dmitry. Thanks for making the introduction about Tiger. Very interesting project. I can tell a lot of challenges ahead of you, especially with the automation, the pit to port optimization as well.
Yeah.
One of the things that, today this whole group will have a chance to listen to 5 different METS companies presenting their amazing technology, and I'm sure I already know a few of them. Definitely will be able to contribute with the project. But what is Tiger doing, to enable all the METS companies that are out there, and would like to present some of the solutions to you. Big mining companies, as you mentioned, they have a lot more infrastructure. They're putting out challenge, innovation challenge, or they're putting challenge online, and people can go and share the technology and try to help with the challenge. What is Tiger planning to do?
Well, first of all, we would welcome any opportunity to have meetings and discussions and presentations with all of the companies that are interested in to present their products for us. We are particularly interested in, as you mentioned, pit to port optimization products, mining, open mining solutions, digital solutions for our open mine operations. Let's say the geological model optimization and introducing the potential video services in the mine is something also that we are looking at and have already introduced and tried several instruments and products in the past. We also would particularly welcome any advice on the transshipment and port operations, because it's also part of our value chain, and it's a transshipment port with barges operating and the bulkers unloading a couple of miles outside of the port, and the fleet management becomes extremely important for efficiency. I mean, we also would welcome you to visit our site when the opportunity becomes open to you. And using all other methods is fine with us to connect.
No, that's very good. And I guess just one more question before we can move into the map. As we've moved into this digital transformation, more and more we're seeing a need for different set of skills. What is Tiger doing, ensuring that the local community is being skilled up to go through this digital transformation?
Well, in our specific location, what we are doing is we are investing in the local, well, in our own infrastructure, but also in the local infrastructure with regards to connectivity, to the actual ability of people to use digital devices, because the remote Chukotka is unfortunately not equipped with the high-speed internet yet, so we're still using the satellite type of connection to provide internet for our employees, and also helping the local communities to get access to those. So the quality of the connection is a big challenge that we are working on. Secondly, we provide the local community with every single possibility to get jobs with our company, to become the part of that process. And at the same time, we encourage the local suppliers and the companies, the small and medium cap companies, to provide their services to us as we are growing into a larger scaled up company.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, gents. So we'll go into the presentations now. First up is Brad Phillips from Hydrix. Brad will do his presentation, and then straight to you, Marco, for some follow-up and then questions.
Right, so hi everyone. My name is Brad Phillips from Hydrix. Perhaps we go to the first slide. So Hydrix is a technology development company. We're a specialist engineering company, and we work with companies that are trying to develop first of type technologies. When we do that, we come in, we help them to assess the problem that they're trying to resolve, and usually develop some sort of solution, technology. It may be first of type, and we assign that intellectual property to our clients. So if we look in the mining space, a number of the products that you see on the market today around fatigue monitoring, personnel tracking and the like, we've helped those companies to develop those technologies. We've also helped companies to develop the algorithms that sit behind the collision avoidance products that are out there in the market. And there are some newer products that are coming to market in the form of monitoring pulp chemistries and so on, working with Newcrest on that. So we work predominantly in the medical, defence and mining space, helping to develop all sorts of interesting technologies. So we're a capability rather than a product seller, and usually it's where people have got caught at the edge of a problem and they don't have anything that they can buy, because if you can buy the solution, that's always the best approach. We just go to the next and final slide. So one of the challenges that I've put here is, would you trust your life to artificial intelligence? And there's a box or an instrument in the top right corner there, which does drug screening from patients, and it will decide whether or not you have a disease or not. And that's using a combination of machine learning and artificial intelligence. and that was the first of its type in the world to be approved by the FDA. So there's a number of learnings we've taken from the use of artificial intelligence in the medical space that we're now taking into mining, the techniques used to control self-learning and autonomous machinery. If we look more broadly, I thought it might be just worth looking at how do we actually carry out these projects and what can you do? I've got a bit of a shopping list of things to think about. The first is really don't carry risk forward in your projects. You should structure them to fail early. So that's a standard technique that we use when we're working with all of our clients. Solve the right problem. There are innovation processes. One which is particularly popular is TRIZ, which is derived from a Russian research over many years. Look at the right mix of technology. We're doing a lot of work in the IoT space at the moment, whether that's smart water meters in the hundreds of thousands to millions in quantity, through to smaller environmental monitoring solutions. Usually the problem is not in the communications, it's the actual measurement problem. That's always the challenge. So make sure you're using the right technology. Understanding how the product and system will be used and how people will interact with it, whether it's doing blast hole characterization, or as Dmitry was saying, you've got that whole problem of pit to port. How do we make sure that the system is integrated properly so that people can use it and you get the outcome you want? Probably the one finally that catches most people out is understanding the regulatory environment and the physical environment you need to operate under. Is the application safety critical or mission critical? And how do you structure the engineering to deal with those challenges? And then eat the elephant in parts, break it into smaller steps. And if everything else fails, get some help. So I think that's really just a very quick overview of what we do and perhaps a few ways to think about how you should manage your technology development projects.
Thank you.
Marco.
Thanks, Brad. That's great. I think R&D, it's an area that I'm very passionate about it. So it's great to see what you guys are doing. One of the questions that I do have is that with a lot of R&D and new products, a lot of the mining houses, they don't want to be the guinea pig. It's an interesting paradigm because they want to be ahead of the curve. They always put in the flag of we're very innovative, but yet they're very afraid to try something new. So, how can we guarantee that the products that you're doing will be well supported for the life of the product, for the life of the mine, for instance?
Look, that is a challenge, and I think we see that all the time. When I reflect on all the work we've been doing in the mining sector over the past 5 or 6 years, it's generally the suppliers who've taken the lead, because there are some of the mining companies who just want to buy what their suppliers have got, and there are others, I think Anglo is an example there, where they want to own their destiny. They've got some ideas about technologies that they need. So I think it's almost 50-50 split between those mining companies who are proactive and have a vision for what they want to develop and what they need. And there are those who treat it as a procurement activity. So it's probably half and half.
It's amazing to challenge as well when you have like a big mining house that is happy to co-found, basically do all the funding for a new R&D, but then once the product is ready, they are not happy to collaborate with the other big mining house. So
yes, and look, it's a challenge because we see it's done so much differently in the defence and medical sectors. They have a completely different approach to bringing new technologies into their industries.
That's actually my third question, which was, what are the learnings we can take from other industries such as the medical and bring that into the mine industry?
I think the model that they essentially follow in medical, their core business is in saving people, but they understand they need to rely on technology. So there are a number of programs help to nurture technology development and companies, and they are driven largely by the large corporates in that space. Even in defence, they've copied some of those models, certainly in Australia, to fund and nurture new technologies. So I think there are some opportunities to recreate those models in the mining sector as well.
Great, thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad, and thanks, Marco. Now on to Steve Russell from Scott Automation and Robotics. And again, Marco, over to you at the end.
Good evening, everyone, and yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak briefly today. Scott Automation and Robotics and our global work across Scott Technology Limited is a 100-year-old company. We haven't always been in automation, but as you can see from the slide here, we have always been at the forefront of taking new innovations across many industries and markets and bringing them to commercial, successful, safe outcomes for our clients. We have a large presence here in Australia and New Zealand, and we are still headquartered in New Zealand, but we're very much a global company now, exporting to over 100 countries in the world and operating across our key industry focus of meat processing, industrial automation, appliance line manufacture, and my focus, which is the mining industry. If you look at what we do in mining, a big part of where we've come from and where we've focused really over the last 50 years is our Rock Labs sample preparation equipment. This is developed, manufactured and still led out of our Auckland, New Zealand division. And we've been very fortunate over the last 25 years to have a key agent in Russia, in Alencar, really assisting us and facilitating our ability to do business with the Russian mining industry and see our world-leading laboratory equipment see very extensive utilisation and support across what is undoubtedly a very significant part of the global market, but also a very challenging environment to operate in. Outside of Australia, Russia really is our most significant region, both in terms of current activity, but also future potential. So with a couple of decades of experience in doing business in Russia, we are now seeing, quite significant opportunities to take some of our more recent innovations that have been developed primarily here in Australia and leveraging those into the Russian market. A key platform of ours is our field automation and robotics program. And probably the most visible example of this technology is our RoboFuel automated refueling system. We have developed this, as you can see on the photo there, for a number of West Australian iron ore operations. We are currently working on our first North American project in very different environmental and extreme conditions, but what we then see as a very good proving ground for us then to take these technologies into similar extreme environments in Russia, where we know we have remote operations and extremely cold and harsh operating conditions at various times of year. So it's quite an exciting area for us, and it really is an area where we see significant potential for safety, productivity, and quality control benefits. The final part of, I guess, my presentation today, and another key technology that we're seeing global interest in, is our lab automation side of things. So this is really taking the expertise we have in lab manual equipment and automating it through the targeted use of robotics. We haven't yet seen a significant take-up in Russia, but we do anticipate over the next decade that some of these solutions that we have implemented in Australia and North America in particular will see similar opportunities within Russia to really see those productivity and safety benefits. So, yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to give this brief overview of our technologies and the opportunities we see in Russia.
Thanks, Steve. I actually know the products that you guys have quite well, so it's interesting that we're crossing paths. But one of the things that I find quite amazing about autonomous in the mining industry is that everybody wants, the greatest, and like I always make an analogy for wanting the fastest car, and you go and pick a Ferrari from Formula One. The only thing that now that you have the shiny car, do you actually, have somebody that can actually drive that car, or do you have the roads equipped, to drive that fancy car that you have? So when you're talking about having no people working on the mine site, what happens when the equipment breaks? You still have to send human there to interact with the machine. And the puzzle where I see Scott, like you guys working, is sort of filling out the gap, replacing the human activity with the machine. What are some of the key development that you have in the pipeline to enable that, a fully autonomous mine site?
Yeah, so I think, it is an interesting analogy to the fast car. And I think from our perspective, our responsibility really is to give innovation and automation that is fit for purpose to the customer. That doesn't always mean complete autonomy, and it doesn't always mean the robot. A lot of people will come to us saying, I want a robot. Quite often, there might be a more elegant and less exciting solution to achieve similar or superior returns and benefits to the customer. So really, a lot of the opportunity that we see and the responsibility that we feel is in helping people make responsible innovation and automation decisions rather than necessarily jumping to the shiny sports car.
How far do you think we are from having a fully autonomous mine? One that, for example, your equipment breaks and another of your equipment go there to fix it, instead of sending one of the Scott expertise to fix the equipment?
I think it is still, quite a way away, but we are seeing some of the examples at the moment. For example, our automated refueling system, which is automatically replenishing an autonomous haul truck. So a lot of the challenges we're seeing at the moment when people start to roll out autonomy programs is you still have that manual maintenance that's backing up the autonomous production. And so to really bring that autonomy down one or two levels as well is, I think, the challenge and the opportunity over the coming decade.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Now we'll move on to James Whitacre and Michelle Delabave, Paradyn.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have slides? Yeah, thank you. Move on to the next one. Thanks, Elaine. I'm Michelle Delabave, VP of Global Markets, and also online today is Dr. James Whitacre, CEO of Paradyn, who will speak to your challenges, Dmitry. Thank you very much for the opportunity to introduce our software application, BlendOpt, which is your digital twin for pit-to-port optimization. We are working with large and small nationals and multinationals across all major exporting regions. In particular, we have extensive experience in metallurgical coal, although BlendOpt is agnostic to commodity. Next slide, please. BlendOpt is a customizable application that provides strategic and operational directives across your entire value chain. BlendOpt mathematically optimizes many thousands of value chain decisions across time to dynamically control material properties to achieve the goals that are particular to your operation at Tiger Realm. The blue box on this slide shows us where most of our clients ask us to apply BlendOpt to solve their problems. James, can you please elaborate for us considering Tiger Realm's situation?
Yes, thanks, Michelle. So as Michelle mentioned, Paradyn is a supplier of pit-to-port value chain planning and optimization systems. So naturally, some of the topics that Dmitry discussed today are exactly the types of capability that Paradyn offers to the mining industry, and particularly our coke and coal mining customers. Paradyn provides pit-to-port value chain planning and optimization systems that will simultaneously optimize a number of decisions related to that specific operation and the particular challenges that are being focused on. So this may relate to decisions related to processing, ply groupings, how coal is being blended, stockpiled, transported, delivered to a barge or a vessel cargo, with the goals often being the maximization of revenue and reducing costs. Now, for a lot of our customers, coal prices are certainly very important, and operating costs are important. So the trade-offs between decisions related to how you process or wash the coal, at what density, what will that do to the corresponding product prices, the yields, the operating costs, these are all complicated interdependent decisions. And to really maximize value out of an operation, you need to be considering them all at the same time. Now, the slide that Michelle is showing on the screen right now is showing just one example supply chain that may involve a number of different locations of stockpiling and material movements. But obviously, every operation is going to be different, and the particular bottlenecks, the constraints that are going to be important to you, particular sales contracts, particular challenges with respect to seasonal events, can certainly be drivers of the models that we set up. If we look at a more of a strategic space, we find that with BlendOpt, we're finding exciting value opportunities by aligning key drivers between mining, logistics, and sales. And in the shorter interval space, in short interval schedules, we're providing rapid adaptation to unexpected events. This can involve anything from unexpected downtimes, changes to vessel ETAs, lab results out of a plant, survey data, fleet management data. The type of data that's being pulled in and integrated into the system, again, is going to depend on the specifics of that operation. But the systems that we are providing to our customers allow them to adapt in very short periods of time to make sure that you are making the best decisions today and not getting yourself into a situation where you're going to lose value tomorrow. And that can be a very difficult type of planning to create without having a system that is able to look holistically and optimize across time, which is something that many operations that are using things like spreadsheets and other older tools are simply not able to do. And I think that we probably don't have a lot of time, so I might stop there and open it up to questions, if that's all right.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Michelle. Luckily, I'm familiar with your product, so there won't be much technical. But I think it is definitely a solution that Dmitry operations, especially owning a port and the whole infrastructure to the port, it is something that I see great value. What sort of process would Dmitry have to go through? Like, what sort of information is required when you're looking at delivering value across the whole port solution? What are the inputs and outputs and then the time frame to implement a solution like that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marco. So the answer to that is ultimately going to depend on the specifics of the data that they have at this time. So looking at the situation where the plant is not yet operational, there may not be some of the washability data that you would want to have in terms of making some of those decisions. So we might be setting it up for looking at their operational context right now, the set of product pricings, penalties that they might have for certain coal attributes. So we would, over the short term, look to focus the model on the data that is available, while also demonstrating the capability to expand that model as the operation looks to achieve its goals in the next year and the coming years. So in short, the data would be, the mine planning data, they certainly would have some operating constraints, certainly would have sales contracts, and associated logistics costs would be at a starting point, the data that we would be putting into the system.
And can I just add to that, Marco, that in terms of time frame, we get going very quickly with our clients. Within a matter of just 2 or 3 weeks, we could have a Tiger Realm prototype in BlendOpt and be showing Dmitry the sorts of things that he could achieve with that system, and then training their people and working out how we need to expand that. So we make sure that they get going very quickly.
Okay, thank you. I'm mindful of the time, Paul, so I'll just skip the other questions. You're on mute.
Sorry, thank you. Over to Tony Harley from GPSat Systems Australia.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. We're actually a specialised technology company in navigation solutions. Probably one of a handful that is specialised in this throughout the world. And in talking about here, we're not really pit to port. We focus on niche markets using GNSS technology, and we look at requirements for dissimilar technologies. So in the slide there, you'll see a reclaimer. It could be a stacker reclaimer, it could be a stacker. What we use is the GPS receivers as sensors on the machine. We do accurate 3D models of the machine so that we know where the machine is in relative space. So effectively creating a digital twin. And by doing that, we know where every single point, every single nut and bolt, every single draw wire is on the machine. So we know where the machine is digging. And often in stockyards, the rails are undulating. We know relative to free space where where the teeth is on the reclaimer. So we can accurately control and automate the machine. It's not digging free space, and it's not digging other than the coal or the iron ore where it should be. So we go on to the next one. By doing that with GPS and knowing exactly where the machine is orientated, we can also use a number of other technologies, not just GPS, but using radar and LiDAR. As the machines move up and down a stockyard, we can also map the volume of product in that yard. And in doing that, we can speed up and more accurately control the machines, and as well as mapping the volume of what's in the yard as well. And so we're using all the time dissimilar technologies, and in part because GPS currently still rated. So it's much more accurate, and we've sort of expanded on from there. We don't look at automation of trucks. The technology is used for automation of trucks, but we don't do it. We focus on the high value, lower volume opportunities, niche market, and we're sort of moving from that. We've got another system which is part of our 3D, which is a dozer system, and we're using that dozer system now in selected areas where they need input from the dozer into the PLC systems, where there is an auto stop function. So if the dozer is in a situation where he's under a stacker, he can control that stacker. He can turn off the flow of product. And that's where we are at the moment. So very niche markets. We also have other products that we've developed in the navigation to actually monitor interference. It's one of the biggest problems that's faced in automation and navigation is interference sources. But we can also detect and geolocate interference sources and slippage sources. And that's derived from a defence project we have. Thanks.
Thanks, Tony. Quick one for you. As we are heading towards more underground mining, we are really depleting the funds and heading to underground. How does your technology work in that sort of environment?
Much more difficult underground because much of it requires the need for a GPS signal. There are re-radiating or rebroadcasting technologies that's available, and the use of inertial as well, which can provide a bit more accuracy. So inertials tend to drift over time, and you need something to reset that drift. And so you can actually re-radiate or generate signals using simulators underground, and that's what's being looked at the moment for road tunnels in Australia, especially New South Wales.
Okay, thanks, Tony.
Thanks.
Great, thanks for that. And over to Ben Chapman from Australian Turntable.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks everybody for the opportunity to chat with you today. My name's Ben Chapman. I'm the Managing Director of Australian Turntables, and my experience includes 25 years with the company working on global heavy industrial projects. With regard to this particular industry in mining and the offering that we've got, we do work in collaboration with Fluor, who are helping us deliver these opportunities into on a global, with a global footprint. So just a quick one on Australian Turntables. It's a 30-year-old company specialising in rotating platforms, as you'll see on the right there in this comparison animation. And during this time, we've been supplying mining, cement and tunnel infrastructure sectors with our heavy engineering solutions across the globe. So the animation's focused on dumping in the mining operations, but it's what we're really interested in showing is the business case and return on investment for lots of different applications in the mining environment. So there's also some of those other applications are workshops, underground fuel stations, delivery docks, or even relocatable turntable solutions at the mine development area. So the key benefits we're seeing available in this slide is improving safety of your employees by removing the dangerous interactions between humans and machines, particularly in underground operations. We reduce cost, the capital costs associated with mine development, and by looking at reducing the fleet numbers required to deliver to the dump. We also improve the productivity of the fleet through shorter cycle times, as well as reducing the operating costs. Some features of the turntable include it's a low capital and operating cost of the product, which is always helpful, and it's typically a simple retrofit installation. And again, as mentioned before, the turntable can be relocated. So the animations finish me up there in timely fashion, so I suppose I can take some questions.
Hi, Ben. Great product, and I love the animation because it actually explains really well what the product's all about. So yeah, well done on that. I guess one of the questions that I do have is that having turntable, in a mine site means that your mine design can actually be very different from, the initial one that a mine engineer might have developed. I've noticed that you guys set up some partnerships in the past. What have you seen? Have you seen much impact in mine design like when you're trying to sell turntable, do you actually, you know, for somebody like Tiger, do you take their My Design plans and say, hey, here, it's how much haulage we can save you guys by installing our product?
Yeah, exactly, Marco. So we know that you know, this is seen as a new technology. Although we've supplied turntables to mining operations over a number of years and very successfully to locations all over the world, and we apply the same principle and the same benefits to different industries. You know, infrastructure, tunnelling projects, and cement plants, for example. But we know that at the end of the day, we need to be able to show a return on investment. And the best time to get the maximum benefit is at that designing stage. So we do a lot of work to help our customers optimize the site and the design, and we can assist in a lot of different ways there. But also we look at the opportunities to further optimize the process, certainly considering the side benefits, you know, that you might not even really consider, but then definitely calculating what that return on investment opportunity might be. That's, you know, and deliver it in a way that can be taken to the company to really show that this product not only pays for itself in a short amount of time, but will generate extra revenue for years to come.
Perfect, thank you. Head over to you, Paul.
Great, thank you, Marco. And maybe just a quick wrap up from Dmitry about what he thought of the presentations and a little bit of an idea on what was best for him.
Well, I think the let's say one of the products that I thought is maybe one of our priority issues is pit-to-port optimization software that I thought, and especially given that Michelle and her colleagues have experience in coking coal production, that adds a lot of value to us as well. The understanding of our specific industry and sector. I was also very attracted by presentations from Tony and Steve. Steve, your Russia experience is very much the value for companies like us. Your knowledge about our operating environment, the challenges, would definitely help to find a let's say client-tailored solution for us. But I really appreciate presentations, and we would really like to connect with everyone and to have a specific conversation on what can be done in cooperation with regards to our specific project and our specific location as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dmitry, and thank you, Marco, as well, and thank you to all the presenters. That's it for tonight. Again, to the Victorian Government and to Mining Plus for your ongoing support and sponsorship of the Mets Arena series. I hope you all enjoyed and got good information out of it. Send you out some information for the Australia-Russian dialogue as well. And Dmitry, we'll get your presentation out as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks all, and hope you have a great couple of days.
Thank you. Cheers.
Have a great day. Bye.